Good day, South Africans. Welcome to my YouTube channel, Advocate Mwekwa Speaks. Well, I know it's been a long time since I've updated the channel, but one thing that's important and that all of us need to understand is that when duty calls, one has to respond. And obviously, at a later time, we'll always come and do what we love, what we're passionate about, which is communicating with you and sharing whatever ideas and knowledge with you, South African people. Well, I came back and I came back to chaos. Hey, I came back to chaos in terms of what's been happening within the judicial system, within our courts. Obviously, we've had the Jacob Zuma fiasco, we've had the Ismahashule fiasco, we've seen Kalni House and others also being equally arrested and so forth. And initially when these things started, I foresaw that there might be a serious problem that might befall the country. And obviously, always when law and politics collide, the grass is the one that will get damaged. The small people, you and me. And it didn't take long after the pronouncements by the Constitutional Court for chaos to start to erupt. And I don't, at this point in time, want to engage the legal issues around whether or not there is a case or substance in the matter of Jacob Zuma or not. That is not the purpose of this video, but I just want us to just reflect quickly on the essence of who we are as a people, how a democratic concept of democracy ought to work, especially in trying to balance power in the country between your legislature, the executive, as well as the judiciary. And this is something that is very important. And one must accept that at more often than not, leaders must take ownership and make decisions for the betterment of the country, make decisions that will benefit the people of this country. And when leaders fail to lead, or when leaders are not being decisive enough, then their problems, whether it's in a political sphere or anywhere else, would then have to be adjudicated by our courts. And that would then, quote unquote, result in the judiciary getting to pronounce itself on perhaps what may be seen to be political issues, right? And oftentimes it would be unfair for us as South Africans to expect that the judiciary, in making their decisions, must consider political factors. When a dispute is brought before the courts will only rely upon the law of this country to make a determination. And not every judgment that they make we will be happy with. That's why there's an appeal process. And perhaps that is also one of the reasons people are saying, but with the Constitutional Court making a pronouncement, they earlier on then encroached on the very essence of, or undermined our constitutional dispensation by allowing itself to be the court of first instance in this matter, right? And at the end of the day, for me, that is not the issue that I want to address. But I want to say to South Africans, the system we have is unfortunately the only system that we must deal with issues with, right? And at the end of the day, whether it is the executive that we're not happy with, if we want to challenge their decisions, there's a process for doing that. Our courts equally. Before we ban things and make the country ungovernable, destroy people's lives, destroy people's businesses, why is it that we're not patient enough to allow the judicial process to unfold? For example, tomorrow we will have the Constitutional Court engaging on this very issue of Mr. Jacob Zuma, whether he ought to be released or not, and so forth. All right, but I for the life of me, South Africans, I do not understand, nor do I appreciate the fact that a few individuals would bully the country into submission. That I do not understand, I do not appreciate, and I do not think it would set the correct precedent for the future. Imagine how many people, for example, Ismachashule can influence, right? Or Mr. Malema can influence, or, for example, Helen Zille can influence to come and make a noise on any topic, for example. So, in future, potentially, if any of these people would be called to come and account for any issue, either by a court or any commission or anything, and let's assume that the courts then make a pronouncement to say that they are guilty of something and they need to be held accountable. Are we also going to expect that when those people rise up, that the whole system must bend backwards to accommodate a single individual? That's what I don't understand. Ultimately, I don't want to say it is right or wrong for people to stand up. People choose to stand up, and they have a right to stand up, to make their voices heard, to protest. Right? It's entrenched in our constitution. The how part is what I have a problem with. The how part is what, for me, currently is disappointing. And currently, somehow, I'm sympathetic to Obaba, but I, I happen to be disgusted truly through by the actions that are taking place, the how people are going about raising their concerns. All right. And unfortunately, it's not easy to undo all the damage, the millions that are lost, the life that is lost today in Johannesburg. All right. So I just want to say to South Africans as I come back and say, I appreciate the fact that we are able to express ourselves as a people, raise our concerns, be robust in doing so, but I do not appreciate the use of violence as a means, when especially it is not necessary, when especially it is not the last resort. All right? And unfortunately, we are destroying the very little infrastructure that we have, right? Destroying businesses that are already strained by COVID-19, right? We are literally compromising the lives of people that are traveling on the roads, right? Over 20 something trucks torched, billions, millions of equipment, whatever that they were transporting is also equally lost, right? And that costs money. And unfortunately, people's businesses, people's jobs are going to be affected, right? I don't want to go into the impact, especially of this on the economy, right? At the end of the day, we must be responsible South Africans. The choices that we make today, it's your choices, it's your journey. You choose the choices that you make during this protest, but do not make choices that will potentially destroy the future of your family, of your own future, as well as a people. All right. And at the end of the day, maybe you might be a hero, maybe not. We do not know. All right. And I'm not the one to decide whether the cause is right. But what I worry about is the method, the means that are used to achieve the cause. Right? I think they are misplaced and they have no place in a democratic society. At some level, reason, logic must reign. Right? And we must find it within ourselves to do things the right way and to follow the right processes, even though we are unhappy about it. Having said that, South Africans, I'm back, and you'll start seeing more videos as after this one. And I just hope that as a country, we will be able to manage this system and this current chaos, and that everything will return back to normality. And I hope genuinely that the leadership collective at all levels of our government would be able to reflect on these issues and come to a meaningful decision that will take us to the next level. But once again, I conclude, when law and politics collide, the grass is the only one that is damaged. Thank you very much, South Africa. Enjoy and see you on the next video.